Greetings and good tidings, Lafayette Lions. It's Miss Brady here, and today we are going to have a review on bar graphs and line graphs. We're going to start by reviewing bar graphs. Bar graphs are used to show and compare data in different categories. We can use data from tally charts and data tables in order to create bar graphs. Our tally chart and data table here are discussing favorite flavors of ice cream, and they're showing the same information in a slightly different way. Before we get started with graphing this information, we need to do a little bit of labeling so that we know what this bar graph is going to be telling us. The first thing that we should label is our title. The title is going to explain all of the information inside of our bar graph. I'm going to make my title favorite ice cream flavor since that is the title of both my tally chart and data table. Next, I am going to label my x-axis down here. This is going to let me know what my categories are. My categories are going to be ice cream flavors. I also need to make sure that I label my y-axis so that I know what the numbers in my scale are going to be representing. I'm going to make my y-axis number of votes. Now that I have the axes labeled, I need to go ahead and put in the different category titles on these lines down here. So I'm going to put vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, and cookies and creams on the line down here. The last thing I need to do before I start graphing is I need to come up with a scale and an interval for my y-axis. When I look at my numbers here, I can see that the data ranges from 4 to 7, so I should be okay with using intervals of 1 for this graph. Now I'm ready to start graphing. I am going to look at my table to find out how many people chose vanilla. I can see that 6 people chose vanilla, so I'm going to make my bar go up to the 6. For strawberry, I can see that 4 people chose strawberry, so I am going to make my bar go up to the 4. For chocolate, there were 7 people, so I'm going to make sure that my bar goes to 7. And for cookies and cream, I had 5 people. Now that this has been graphed, I can look at this to see that more people liked chocolate than any other flavor, and that strawberry was the least popular. We can also create bar graphs from pictographs. This is displaying countable data in a different way. We're using pictures this time instead of tallies or numbers. So I have a key down here that lets me know that each gingerbread cookie is worth 2 cookies. So it's not representing 1, it's representing 2. I'm going to follow the same steps that I did before. I am going to start by coming up with a title for my graph. This time, my title is going to be Cookies Decorated by Students. Next, I'm going to label my x-axis. This is going to let me know what everything on the bottom is representing, and I'm just going to put students because we'll be writing their names there in just a moment. My y-axis this time is going to be the number of cookies. Now, I'm going to go ahead and write the names of my categories on these lines down here. Charlie, Lucy, Linus, and Sally. And then I need to come up with my interval. As I look here, I can see that I have 2, 4, 6, 8 as the highest number. So again, I think that using intervals of 1 will work for this graph. I'm going to look to see how many cookies Charlie has made. 2, 4, 6. So my bar for Charlie is going to go to the 6. Next, I'm going to look at how many Lucy made. Lucy made 2, 4, and then she has a half a cookie here. Half of 2 is 1, so I'm going to add 1 to 4. So 2, 4, 5 cookies that Lucy decorated. Linus decorated 2, and then we have this half again, which we know means 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3 cookies for Linus. And Sally was really busy. She decorated 2, 4, 6, 8 cookies. Again, now that my data is graphed, I can look at this and see that Linus had the least amount of cookies that he decorated, and Sally had the most amount of cookies that she decorated. We can also use data tables in order to help us create line graphs. Line graphs are used to show how data changes over a given amount of time. So this data table here is showing us the number of bottles that have been recycled daily. I'm going to take the title of my data table and go ahead and make that the title of my graph. My x-axis this time is going to be the days of the week. And then my y-axis, these numbers over here are representing the number of bottles that have been recycled. Now that I've labeled my title and both axes, I'm going to go ahead, put the days of the week down here. For a line graph, my x-axis is going to show the increments in time. This time, I'm not going to be able to use intervals of 1 because I can see that these numbers are a little bit higher. This time, I'm going to use intervals of 5 in order to graph my data. With line graphs, I am going to look at my data, and instead of making a bar, I am going to put a dot next to that data spot. So for Monday, I'm going to go up to the 20 and place a dot here. For the Tuesday, I'm going to go up to the 35 and place a dot. For the Wednesday, 25. The Thursday, 15. And the Friday would be 30. Now that I have all of my data points plotted on my graph, I'm going to draw lines to connect all of my dots. From here, now that my dots are connected, I can see which day had the most amount of bottles that were recycled or the least amount of bottles. There were no days that had the same amount of bottles that had been recycled because there are no 2 days with a dot on the same spot. All right, guys and gals, I hope that this review helped you with line graphs and bar graphs. I hope that you all have a wonderful day.